So by now, you're probably starting to question some of these data collection techniques, and that's good. We'll talk briefly about each one and discuss the strengths and potential weaknesses so that you can make an informed choice. So now let's talk about some different data collection tools that you can use for collecting data in your own action research. First, we're going to talk about tools for the collection of observable data. Two of these include observation of a particular aspect of classroom action, including taking brief notes or recording comments during class. And the second one is keeping audio or video recordings of classroom interactions. And this can include transcripts of classroom interactions. First, we're going to talk about observations in your classroom. Observations are sometimes known as field observations or field notes, and they need to be focused. That is, focused on something specific, that you have a goal in mind of what you want to see happening. And they're also going to be objective, that you're going to be noting what happens and not just your opinion on what happened. It's also reflective, so you're thinking about how your teaching is affecting what's happening in the classroom. And it's also carefully documented, that you're keeping careful notes of everything that happened. Some different types of observations include peer observation, wherein you have someone else come and observe your class and take notes. There's self-observation, where you as the teacher keep notes as you teach. And then there's collaborative observation, where you're keeping notes and observing yourself, and someone else comes in to observe you as well. Remember, you can use tools in your observation that will help you. Usually these include checklists. You can have behavior checklists, which documents what students are doing in the classroom and how they behave, or event checklists, like things that happen in the classroom during the lesson. Now, because you're probably going to be teaching and a lesson is happening and there's a lot of stuff going on, you won't be able to write down every detail. So remember, you want to rely on abbreviations. And also be sure to keep a key, a key for those abbreviations so you won't forget what they mean. Some other things you can do in your observation, you can keep maybe just brief notes that you do throughout the lesson. Maybe you can record comments given by students, or maybe your own comments on how the lesson is going. Some teachers prefer to just keep a written narrative. That is, at the end of each class, they just write everything that they remembered happening in the class. Remember, you can keep an Excel spreadsheet so you can tally things that happen. That way you'll know how many times an event or a behavior occurred in your observation. What are the strengths and limitations to classroom observations? One of the strengths may be that the students are probably already used to a teacher observing them. They're already used to you in the classroom observing their interactions and giving feedback. If another teacher comes in, that's more objective material that you can use in your for data analysis. It's always good to have an extra set of eyes to see what's happening. They might see something that you miss. Observation checklist is a very helpful tool. Also, if you're looking to get more quantitative data, a checklist will be very helpful for that. That way you can get some numbers in with your data for analysis. And it's also useful to do over time and to be able to see trends. This way you'll see how things are changing in your classroom as you carry out your action. And this can be particularly useful for when you are reflecting for your second cycle of action research. So limitations An observation checklist probably won't have everything that will happen on it. So there'll probably be something that happens in the classroom that's not on the checklist that might be important. If you have an outside observer come in, this might affect the way students behave and would change the data. You certainly won't be able to observe all the students all the time. If they are busy teaching, there's something that you'll miss, and while you're observing one group of students, other students are doing something different. If you're interested in observations, please consider these resources for additional information. The second form of observable data that you can collect is audio or video recordings. Audio video recordings are authentic in that you have what really happened in the class, and it's also an objective view into what happened in the class. The video camera or the audio recorder will find things that you might miss as a teacher. Consider that audio may be easier to set up. It will probably be less noticeable than a camera in front of the class. Something you can do to further this is to transcribe the speech. Write down what happened. Write down what students and you said. Remember, if you want to transcribe, make it systematic, as transcribing can be very time consuming. You probably don't want to transcribe everything, so make a plan before you start of what you want to transcribe and stick to that plan. Remember that if you have a smartphone, you definitely have access to an audio recorder and can probably use it for short videos as well. And remember that you have resources like SoundCloud.com, which will allow you to store and organize audio files. And if you want to share them, you can use it for that as well. So let's talk a little bit about the strengths and weaknesses of audio and video recordings. So video recordings, they give you an objective look of what's happening. The video camera will see everything that you missed. And it's also something that you can rewind and play back again and again, unlike an observation. You get information on both how you were teaching the class and also what the students were doing. So you're seeing both sides of the classroom at the same time. You could keep an observation checklist and again get more of that quantitative data to help triangulate the data you have to analyze. One issue may be that students might feel uncomfortable with a camera or a recorder in the room. Sometimes they become more comfortable over time, but this is still something you should keep in mind. It's probably going to be difficult to film and teach at the same time, especially if you're using a smartphone as a camera. So if you wanted to film, you would probably want to consider using a camera with a tripod if that's an option. If you have someone else coming in and operating the equipment, that again may be a distraction to the students and would affect the way they behave. So something else to consider. Also, analyzing the data from video and audio can be time consuming sometimes. So again, if you decide to do this, try to be systematic to save yourself some time.